Morning, good afternoon and good evening everyone, and welcome to round 5 of the 2026 TCUK Championship here at Virtual Motorsport Online. Tonight we arrive at Thruxton, the fastest race circuit in the United Kingdom. Hardly changed since racing started here post-World War II. Thruxton's long, sweeping, high-speed commitment zones have made it a staple of touring car racing, a place where commitment is rewarded and hesitation punished. Arriving into Thruxton off the back of a standout weekend, Callum Wilson delivered 2 superb victories to tighten his grip on the independence battle. Meanwhile, Dan Hurlock continues his Drivers' Championship charge with 3 podium finishes. Momentum is building across the grid, and with the high-speed Thruxton circuit at our feet, we'll have to see who can eclipse the field tonight. My name is Matthew Churgwin, and joining me in the commentary booth is Mr. Philip Morby. Say hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Yeah, we're back for another thrilling evening. What is our local circuit in the real world? And yeah, fascinating to see how this one plays out tonight.
Indeed. We have a circuit which is pretty unique, like no other, that we visit on the calendar. And we have a real mix-up, I think, of strategy, with some options being removed from our drivers tonight, and the boost system that we have perhaps will be even more powerful than usual. So a lot for our drivers to manage, and a style of racing, drafting, bumping, potentially a little bit as well. The closest thing we perhaps get to an oval in our championship here at TCUK. So lots to keep an eye out for here tonight. We have already made it our way to round 5. We're halfway through our championship, but we still have plenty of excellent racing to come. In 1 week's time, we'll be making our usual visits over the border to Knockhill. Hopefully going to be not quite as rainy, or maybe we do want it to be as quite as rainy as the real life race of a weekend or so ago. And following that, 2 weeks later, we return to Donington Park and its Grand Prix layout for 3 more thrilling races. We visit Croft mid-September and round out September with our visit to Silverstone and the national layout before we cap off this 2026 season by returning to Brands Hatch and its Grand Prix layout, and a lovely set of tracks still to come, but as you say, Phil, Thruxton is our local circuit. From a driver's point of view, what makes this place special?
Just like you said, the commitment. I quite enjoyed it because it was a track you didn't need to worry about tyres. So for tonight's racing, all qualifying and race laps will be on the hard tyre. So there's no need to select which race you'll be doing, any softs or mediums. It's all hard tyres, and it's just kind of full send, especially if you want to make those overtakes into the chicanes or into, I think, turn 3. You just have to go for it and commit, and if you get it right, it's wonderful. If you get it wrong, you will get it very wrong.
Absolutely. A unique layout, perhaps I would say 2 real proper braking zones, but still plenty of overtaking opportunity with a number of very fast flowing corners. Commitment absolutely rewarded, and expect to see lots of slipstreaming, draft passes, and a lot of contention over the same bits of tarmac. When you've got the likes of Church, which is definitely single file, we do tend to have a few fireworks when drivers try and challenge their way through that very fast right-hander.
Yeah, it's also worth pointing out, I think I worked out 3rd to 15th was basically half a second. So we had the top 2 guys, a few tenths ahead, but there was that middle group, like half a second in it, and difference between starting, 2nd, 3rd rows on the grid and starting all the way back at the bottom of the points.
It's a fast circuit, one where mistakes are definitely punished, but you will definitely have the field a lot more bunched together tonight. So it's going to be action packed, and it's why we do love coming to Thruxton. Phil's already mentioned one of our strategic elements that the drivers get to manage across the course of the season is tyre allocation. Tonight, that is equalised due to the nature of the circuit and the fact in real life it's very abrasive. All the drivers will be running on the hard compound for all 3 races tonight, so the tyre strategy element will be removed. But fast flowing corners, the boost element is going to be even more critical than usual tonight.
It really is. We've seen, I think, Hurlock starting down in like 6th or 7th place this evening because no boost to use in that qualifying lap, so really struggled. Likewise, shout out Martha Allington. She did a fantastic lap and starting in 6th. So yeah, it's set up nicely for race 1 tonight.
It is, and we'll obviously point out and call out the action throughout the 3 races tonight. But there's been a few bits of news and updates to offer in the previous 2 weeks between our last round at Alton Park and here, and it's good to welcome some new talent, new drivers to the field.
We've got, I've lost the name, Jack Boney. I'm going to go for Boney, of D. Boney and Sons Racing in the Vauxhall Astra is joining us tonight. We've also got a few absentees as well, so we've got 20 runners and riders, which is more than enough for good racing / chaos. You've got the Calamities are near the front, so, the Kings Racing, the trio are there, and obviously, Herlock with a little amount of boost and no rear gunner, because it looks like Brother Joe isn't here tonight.
As of course we're in the summer holidays, I imagine a few drivers may be obviously enjoying a well-earned break, but still, for those who are here, plenty of opportunity to try and make a late charge. As I say, we're only halfway through the championship, still lots of time available. And well, we had some fantastic racing last time out. Callum Wilson going back to back rounds 10 and 11, which really obviously has put a huge bump in his arm for the Independence Championship. But then Ben Willis with the reverse grid winning in the last race last time out as well. So few dynamics, I think, coming together there, and anyone can take the opportunity if they get it and score a good result.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity, and as we've been saying, the championship, while it looks like it's a big gap between Daniel Herlock and Scott Mitchell-Marm of 49 points, that will soon collapse if Herlock has a bad race one. So all to play for still, and still 18 races to go. So a lot of points still up for grabs.
Yep, still a lot of distance and a lot of racing to do. So yes, we are well set here. If you are new to TCUK, well, welcome. Lovely to have you along. Appreciate your company. If you want to find out more about the championship or the league, Virtual Motorsport Online, feel free to head on over to our website. That is vmo-simracing.co.uk, and you'll be able to find out more about not only TCUK but the league, and be able to join our growing and flourishing community, join our active Discord server, and find out about TCUK, but also some of the other championships that VMO runs, like our rally series that runs over the winter. So all sorts of racing to be had, and we would love to see you come along and join in potentially on the TCUK grid next year.
Yeah, we've done it before. We've enjoyed ourselves here. We've kind of retired up to the commentary booth like all great drivers, right? It's a fun league. It's a great base with R Factor 2, and obviously these cars, and thanks to the HEMS boost system that we use, makes for some fantastic racing, and unique as well. I'd say it's a unique league. We've obviously got the Gothenburg Racing League that also use the same HEMS system as us, which just makes it great.
Collaboration, which is always good to see, making the hobby, the sport, even stronger and a bit more engaging. It's all good stuff. So yes, the caliber of driver and such that we have here is also a real treat. We've got some real superstars on the grid. So settle in, folks. We've got 3 cracking races to come, and anything I think can and will happen. So we are, I think, ready to start talking through our grid lineup for the first race tonight. As Phil mentioned, a very close qualifying, so let's run through those grid positions. So starting pole position, Dan Kell for Calamity Motorsport, Tom Stevens for Kings Racing, very close behind, just half a tenth of a second. Harley London, her best qualifying of the year, in third, with a King's car in fourth. Callum Cripps for Brabham starting in fifth, with Martha Allington a fantastic sixth. Zachary Evans in seventh, with Cedo Wire for Brabham in eighth. Rounding out our top 10, we have Scott Mitchell-Marm, and he has got his championship rival Daniel Herlock starting alongside him in 10th.
Alan Wilson for Hector 1 Esports 11th, with Alan Smith and the Dizzy Heights of 12th. Our 16th place man is on the move. Thomas Wack is 13th for Kart Marketplace of RSR. Louis Neal, 14th, with PMR powered by Richardson Co Racing. Jordan Hyde in 15th with the 5-place grip drop, and it's Emil Salberg in 16th. Ben Willis is 17th, with Matthew Williams in 18th. Robin Moling for Drake Racing in 19th, and newcomer Jack Boney is in 20th, but we're starting 19th, as I said, because Hyde has that 5-place grid drop.
Yes, and we saw in warm-up, we saw in qualifying, some of these drivers really struggling with the balance of their car. Thruxton, being the nature it is, it's all about carrying speed, a bit more oversteer, a bit more rotation from the back of the car. Always a bit helpful to carry that just a little bit extra speed into an apex, but a few drivers are struggling with that balance.
Oh, the chucking it into church that was going on in qualifying was beautiful, beautiful and scary to watch. I mean, we've all seen the onboard of Ricky Collard with that overtake Thruxton this season. I mean, they were kind of doing it every lap, and we know Dan Hurlock, for example, has that kind of very oversteery style of driving and drifting around, and even he was kind of going sideways, probably a bit more than he had liked. So likewise, you need, as we've seen these kind of side shots here as we wait to go to the grid. You really need to keep the car planted through this chicane. We use the R-Factor2 track cut detection system. So just to explain to newcomers, you effectively, if you cut the track, depending on how much speed, you'll be given like a quarter of a point or half a point, or sometimes as much as 1 point. I think we run, if you get, it's either 3 or 5 points, you effectively get a drive through. So you have to be very careful of that last chicane. Not so much the first one, but definitely the last one. I've run a miss of trying to nail that chicane many a times.
And of course, it's an automated system, a computer-based system. It is the same logic for everybody, so it's fair and consistent. Certainly, in other services, you might go, maybe I'll tactically use a bit of a shortcut here to perhaps break away a little bit. We'll have to see if drivers choose to use those kind of tactics tonight. But yes, with 2 major overtaking braking zones, to keep your minimum speed up, get the fastest lap time, we will see our drivers pushing the limits.
Yeah, and it's going to be fantastic with the boost. Some guys are, I think, as we said, Hurlock, they're down, I think, for 7th. He's going to have a 1 lap of boost. And, there's so many opportunities to use it on that 1 lap, but everyone else is going to have, I need to double check, it's, quite a few laps more than them. We're doing 16 laps tonight, so I think it's 12 laps everyone else gets. I need to double check that. So, they're really going to struggle defending.
They will. And an airfield circuit, as you can perhaps see from the footage here in the background, as many race circuits in the UK are, but there is a real elevation change. If you're at the bottom of Church and you walk up the hill towards Club, that is a proper hill. So if you're lacking some boost, lacking some momentum, and someone has an extra 65 horsepower, which is what the boost system delivers, you are going to see and feel that, I think, as cars yo-yo and slingshot past one another.
I think I've always said in computer games, the 2 things you don't get from a racetrack in a computer game is how wide they are, and then also the elevation changes. Obviously, we walked this track many moons ago, raising money for Billy Monger. That was it. So yeah, going down to Church and then back up again, you suddenly realise the elevation change for what is essentially an airfield. As I counted earlier, by the way, 18 airplanes.
Oh, there you go. So all of the key details being called tonight. 18 general aviation aircraft at the virtual Thruxton racetrack tonight. Good stuff.
You're very welcome. I haven't counted the spectators yet, but could be there a while, so I'll probably skip that one. And that's your car goes through this scene as well, from back yesteryear, I think.
Yeah, a very long time ago. Yes. The Levorg, Be Still My Beating Heart. What a lovely machine that was to race while it was still active. There it is.
Yep.
So yes, I very much enjoyed the Levorg, which was a rear-wheel drive car around this circuit. I think the rear-wheel drives, though, are going to have their rear-wheel drive cars are going to struggle a little bit here tonight. We are, much like the British Touring Car Championship, a bit unique. Our cars are varied. Some are front-wheel drive, some are rear-wheel drive. This is definitely a front-wheel drive friendly circuit with its lack of traction zones.
Did you ever race front-wheel drive here at VMO? Obviously, I know you did the
Not at VMO. I've raced front-wheel drive touring cars around Thruxton in the very distant past, but never at VMO.
Yeah, so I've obviously done a bit of both. It's a bit of a delay, just so people are aware, due to some issues with our unique boost system. So they're just sorting out going to grid again. Hopefully we'll get some racing soon. Yeah, I fluttered between both of them. Obviously, I did the Levorg, and then I switched to the I went to Toyota for 1 year. Absolutely hated it. Sorry, Martha. And then did the Focus.
Yes, the way that these things kind of work out, obviously your front-wheel drive cars, where you're doing both your steering and your accelerating, and majority of your braking, all on the front axle. That's a lot of work to do on the front axle. So circuits like, say, Alton Park, where there's a lot of stop-start corners or changes in direction, naturally, that's a bit more effort for those front-wheel drive cars to manage. Of course, here, being very fast, flowing, and just 2 real braking zones, 2 chicanes to really manage, that disadvantage disappears. And normally the front wheel drive cars, from a balancing point of view, just that little bit quicker by just 1 kilometre an hour or so, which makes all the difference. So I think rear wheel drives will take care of their tyres better, as they normally do across all of the circuits. And certainly from setup point of view, you can do some interesting things with the rear wheel drives to help them use that oversteer element to carry that speed that you can't on a front wheel drive necessarily. So we'll have to see how our drivers manage it. And of course, having said all this, I'm sure we're going to have a completely topsy-turvy set of races where we'll have rear wheel drives upsetting the form book.
Well, like I said, we know Herlock kind of in the middle there. So we'll see how they play their cards. Also worth pointing out, the difference is, weather, rain. Obviously, we're not going to get, I very highly doubt we're going to get any rain here tonight. But that is something to consider when front wheel drive. You can obviously, any spin you can power out. Rear wheel drive is a bit harder to power out, but they feel a bit more comfortable in the rain if you're a little bit kind of tepid, I suppose, on the old loud pedal.
Yes, yeah, you certainly have to be gentle and proportional with your inputs in low grip conditions in any vehicle, to be fair. Yes, I doubt we'll have any rain this evening, just given the, let's say, climactic conditions in the UK at the moment. It is very, very warm and has been for some time. Not so much, as I referenced earlier, in Knockhill, and we'll have to see in a week's time if we see a repeat of some of that that weather. I was actually up in Scotland a few weeks ago. It did drizzle for a moment, and I was confused, having not seen rain. So yes, well, please come back, rain. All is forgiven.
Yes, our Scottish cameraman is in our ear going, it's raining here right now. I have a friend based near Fife who was telling me that, how's your drought going? And I said, well, we had 15 minutes of rain overnight. And he replied with, we had 15 minutes of sunshine. Which I think really lays in the difference north versus south at the moment.
It was quite something flying back. You could actually genuinely see a difference in greenery. The further north you got, the more lush and normal the things were. As I returned back down towards the south coast of the UK, it definitely got a bit more barren. So yes, I think tonight our drivers won't have to factor wet tyres and wet weather into the equation.
Yeah, and I don't think the grass is as green as it's in this game. Real life Thruxton right now, and all the fields in the background. But we have a grid and we have a formation lap.
Lovely stuff. So as our drivers prepare themselves on their final formation lap before the start of this race, we'll call our starting order for you once again. So Dan Kell on pole position. He'll be followed by Tom Stevens. Harley London starting in 3rd place with Luke Mitchell in his King's racing machine in 4th. Callum Cripps will start 5th with Martha Allington a superb 6th. Zachary Evans in 7th with Cedo Wire 8th. Rounding out the top 10, we have Scott Mitchell-Marm and Daniel Herlock.
11th place, it's Callum Wilson for Sector 1 Esports with Alan Smith in P12. Thomas Wack in 13th with Louis Neal in 14th for PMR powered by Richardson Co-Racing. Emil Salberg in 15th with Ben Willis in 16th. And then it's Matthew Williams of Craven Racing in 17th. Robin Molding for Drake in 18th. Jack Boney in 19th. And as said, Geraldine Hyde is starting in 20th position after that 5-place grid penalty.
As our drivers are just making their way around, we've got a little bit of focus here on Bonnie. Lovely to have you with us, Jack. So enjoy your first race here with us. Who would you call out, Phil, runners and riders to keep an eye out for in race 1 tonight?
I think you have to keep an eye on Herlock. Obviously, not so much for moving up the grid, just how much are they, I don't really commentator's curse going here, how much are they going to struggle? We've got a car off in the background in the formation lap, which is interesting. That looks like one of the Cravens of Mr. Smith back on the track and hopefully hasn't hit anyone. Yeah, I think Herlock will be a fun one to watch. Starting 10th, middle of the pack, not much boost, how they're going to use it. And then it'll be fun to see the front of the grid, Calamity and Kings, 1, 2, 3, 4. How are they going to work together?
So you pointed out what I was going to. We've got a bit of a team dynamic building towards the front of the grid, so we'll have to see how everyone manages that one. So we've got picture-in-picture for you. We've got Dan Herlock on board, starting 10th place. As all of our drivers just make their way into their grid boxes, we wait for everyone to prepare themselves, for the engine notes to rise, and the lights to come on. Lights out, and away we go for race 1 this evening. A good start on our front row, but we've got a staller in the back. It's Mitchell Marm, has not gotten away from the line. Few places being made on the early goings there by Callum Cripps, getting past Luke Mitchell as they run down towards the Campbell chicane for the first time.
Yeah, it looks like it's all very sideways Honda that managed to hold it all together. Herlock's kind of deep in the battle of a bit of a rolling roadblock ahead of them, so no chance of a dive down the inside with this Honda on the left, but no moves made there. Looks like one of the other Kings has lost a place. Yeah, Callum Cripps up to 4th. Martha's holding in 6th. So they're all going to start spreading out a little bit and see if they're going to get slipstream buddies.
Indeed, it looks like the teamwork or collaboration or cooperation between Calamity and Kings may start to be happening here in amongst our top duo. Dan Kell leading as they run into Church, fastest corner in the country for the first time. Cars really off balance. You can see the little change in elevation and camber there, but these two still glued together as they run up towards the hill. Dan Herlock here, we're now focusing on in 9th place. He's made a position running up the hill. Has he got an overlap on the Brabham? Oh, he has sent that BMW up the inside. Nothing that Brabham Honda Civic Type R could do about that. Dan Herlock up to 8th.
There was literally a BMW-sized gap on that side by the millimetre, and Dan just went for it. Which, you know, when you're fighting for a championship, is very brave, but it's paid off. And yeah, up to 8th, a couple of places made up on that lap. Yeah, Callum Wilson and Scott Mitchell Marm both kind of look like they stalled on the grid and took a good few seconds to get going. So they're currently running at the back, but they have got moving.
Maybe they'll be able to work together and cover the gap. You can see, as we do at Thruxton, a little bit of a snake, a train starting to form, all the drivers following each other in the slipstream. Unique element of this circuit with the fact that there are so few braking zones and deceleration points that everyone does tend to get stuck together through the Goodwood bend here on board with Zachary Evans in the PMR powered by Richardson Co Racing Hyundai. Down the hill now into Church, riding on board Izzy flat out, sounds it, holds on to the car, running all the way to the outside of the circuit using all of the rumble strip there as he tries to pursue Martha Allington up ahead in 6th.
Herlock lost a couple of places. He's lost 1, may lose 2. Went very sideways through Church. Did kind of get it all back together and is, now down to 10th place.
So Evans getting a good run that time through and definitely made a car length the two there on Martha Allington. We return though to the front of the field. Tom Stevens asking many questions of race winner and championship winner Dan Kell, but he's not finding a path through just now. Dan just covering the line, not over defending, just focusing on what he needs to do. Tom Stevens just not quite finding a way to open that door just yet.
Yeah, I think they need to kind of do a bit of a push together to kind of make a gap of 1 second to Cripps. So if they work together, they can fight for it later, but I'm sure they're fighting for it now.
Definitely starting to up the ante. They've got a little bit of a gap now back to 3rd place, which is Callum Cripps, about a second or so. It's just about on the edge of slipstreaming territory where you start to gain a little bit of extra speed following in the wake of the car which is ahead of you. So these two can start to potentially scrap just a little bit and not lose too much time, but with obviously scrapping, you do time. Here we have Dan Herlock down into Church.
Yep, so I think he just goes his normal sideways self and just look at that. There's a little slide and then goes over that little bump on the exit chicane. Just goes very squirrely, and I think that loss of speed gives the opportunity for that Honda and for Smith to move up. He has got back past Smith and is now back up to 9th place.
So well held. It is bumpy offline there. You saw that through some of the suspension movements there for Herlock. As we've seen him a few times actually, cover and catch cars in perilous conditions. So big moment, but well held.
Yep, we had our first retirement as well. Robin Mooling's kind of hit the chicane a little bit too hard, and that's our first DNF. As the gap between Stevens and Kell is kind of hovering out at 4 tenths, but they're still pulling away from Cripps, 1.5 in 3rd.
I think if these two continue to work together, that gap will continue to build. We're on lap 4 of 16, so we're already 25% of the way through this one already. If they continue to work together, that gap will extend and it will give them plenty of breathing room to then decide and duel amongst themselves who's going to get the race win.
Yeah, we've got Ben Willis here up into 14th with Louis Nil ahead of them. So we're going to start seeing a bit more boost being used now, because those cars that have got 10 laps of boost, which is the maximum for some drivers, they're probably thinking, I may use the odd one every now and then. I'll save, obviously, save a lap or two for later, and then they can pretty much use it for every lap until the end. So as Zachary Evans gets ahead of Allington into Martha, sorry, then getting ahead of up 6th.
Yeah, we've definitely got some movement going on in the midfield, as there is Moling unfortunately having his moment. A little bit of latency on the replay there, but just getting the chicane wrong and unfortunately finding actually the pit wall almost, pit entry wall there. So unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I think they damaged the front right suspension, because what we didn't see is they went through into turn 1 and Stanley just went straight on and then whacked the left barrier. I think that was the car well and truly done for race 1. So that's our first and only retirement so far.
New chassis for the Drake car, please. But yes, a little bit of movement there with Zach Evans, I think, trying to make a move on Martha Allington. That not quite working out. We just saw a puff of runoff into the grass there on the exit of turn 1, which is Allard corner, and some momentum being lost. We saw it a little bit at Alton Park as well. If you are an attacker and you make your attack and you don't get it right, you can be severely punished. As attack becomes defense, you lose momentum and those around you just keep theirs and walk on by.
Yeah, we now got Herlock up to 7th. It's past Cedo Wire in the chicane. So making a few places up. Obviously the still got Tom Stevens in 2nd, so still we'll be shortening the gap to Dan Kell, but with Scott Mitchell-Marm now right at the back of the grid, I think at this rate Herlock will still be extending their championship position.
Which is a nice position to be. I'm sure not working out and playing the championship game just yet, but always good when you're just focusing on your thing and your rivals and not having an ideal day. Speaking of an ideal day, though, Dan Kell and Tom Stevens still working here together. Still not being able to find a way past has Stevens, but with all of this, and even with some boost being used by Callan Cripps behind, they have extended their gap now to 2.5 seconds at the front of the field.
And here's the example then. So is Allington going to use their boost on this lap, or are they going to save it to then be able to use it on all laps going forward, whereas Herlock behind will only be able to use it on 1? Looks like they're going to save it, so they have 10 laps left and 10 laps of boost.
And we'll have to keep an eye on how Martha uses that boost. As you say, Phil, 20 or so, I believe it is, seconds that you are able to use. As we're just looking here up at the front, it looks like Tom Stevens has had a really good run out of the final chicane, and he is now really asking very many questions of Dan Kell. Kell taking a defensive line there, slight hole, or just covering the line that perhaps Stevens would want to take naturally to carry the most speed. And these two now still right together, and this is one of the joyous parts of this Thruxton layout. Attack becomes defense. If you over defend, you really do lose a lot of time. So attackers, those who want to try and make moves, make passes, can force mistakes really easily. So as these two now start to scrap, we'll have to see how Callan Cripps deals with that. As my word, Martha, hats off, what a save.
Yeah, that was so Herlock's got ahead of Martha, but Martha's now probably going to start using the boost. So kind of take the gap a little bit from what Cedo, and see if Martha here through Church is going sideways in front wheel drive, but can now use that boost all the way up the hill. Probably a little bit too far now to challenge Herlock. Herlock's kind of made hay while the sun shines and has made a bit of a gap, but Martha's still doing great in 7th place.
As they run up into the club chicane for this, the 7th time of asking, Herlock has been able to make a minor break away from Allington. Allington now perhaps having to keep an eye.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see if these concertina up as the race unfolds.
Yeah, looks like we got, apologies, got a slight issue with the boost system for Dan Kell. He's used it. They do have boosts. It says 1 out of 0, so they've used it for 1 lap. I'm just trying to get clarification how many laps that Kell has. We'll get back to you on that one. But yep, using the boost again for the 2nd lap as well.
Our drivers now starting to use the tools that they have at their disposal. The leading duo still just half a second apart, and even with the scrapping, Callum Cripps is now 3 seconds behind. So that gap continues to extend. Kell on the boost, Cripps on the boost, London on the boost, Mitchell on the boost. So I think we're going to start to have actually two separate little conflicts here in this first race. You're going to have the top two scrapping, and then you're going to have a fight for the final podium position, that being between Luke Mitchell, Harley London and Callum Cripps. And a little mistake there, running a bit too wide there. I think that was for London this time by.
Yep, so Cripps has already used, I think, 4 laps of boost, so maybe 5 out of 10 already. So kind of using the boost to hold that third position at the moment, but that's not going to be very useful the last few laps. So that's one definitely to keep an eye on. As this gap to Stevens and Kell is just kind of elongating a little bit. That's probably because Kell has 10 laps of boost. Even though it does say 0, it has 10 on this. So Kell can now also use boost every lap, which is probably going to help them pull away a little bit from Stevens.
Yeah, happy to see how Stevens responds to that one. Does he perhaps settle for the result he's got, or does he keep trying? I would hope he obviously keeps trying. Oh, a little nice move here for Emil Salberg, trying to get up the inside of the Craven Racing Hyundai here. Has he been able to complete that one? No, he hasn't, but as you can see, 2 cars start to scrap and a third joins the fray through Noble into Goodwood. This is going to be hard work for that Astra to pull off, and I think he's sensibly pulled the move back to focus on getting a good exit. So they now run towards through Village towards Church, and just look at that boost usage. Astra, better exit, more boost, and through before they get to Church. Can he hold it up the hill? Contact.
Yeah, as I say, so this is going to keep going, and you've now got Louis Neal just kind of sat behind going, if you guys could just scrap it out and just take each other out, that'd be great as they go into... Well, that's an interesting line that's being taken by... that's not going to work. Oh, they both luckily missed everyone. There's a third car involved there. Is that Ben Willis, I think, in the background? Ben's obviously had to miss the chicane, but hopefully... yeah, it looks like they are somehow all still going. I'm quite amazed if that Salberg hasn't got any damage.
I was going to say there's a real-life touring car race. I believe we were actually in the grandstands just there, Phil, where a similar moment happened. A car went hard into that wall, and that was day done. That Honda Civic, that Creek Racing by Kings Honda Civic, definitely looking a bit worse for wear after that one. Yeah,
let's see on the old steering wheel in a minute when we straighten out. Looks like it's having to use a lot of left hand down. So I'd say, yeah, that's slightly crabbing to the left. Yeah, I don't think Emil's going to be getting any points because the next car is 2.5 seconds behind is Callum Woodson.
While all that excitement was going on, Harley London has made her way up to 3rd place. Callum Cripps falling back down to 5th. Luke Mitchell also making a place. While that's been happening, though, Dan Herlock has been able to catch up to this fight for the podium position with no boost. He's used his full allocation, and here we've got a replay of that moment coming up the hill through Brooklands.
So was there? I'm guessing there's a little bit of contact around about. Oh yeah, look, kind of hooked together. So Astra goes to the right, and then that's the heavy damage. Willis doing very well to keep it out of the barriers, and obviously gains a few places out of it. I imagine Emil is currently down in just been passed for 15th, so now out of the points.
And it's you might say, well, that looks very clumsy, but Thruxton, to have a straight braking into some of these corners, your line does naturally move across the circuit, and the circuit itself is weaving and winding its way around this Hampshire countryside. And it maybe just 2 cars going for the same bit of tarmac there, and at those speeds, and once you're on the grass, it's a big accident that you then have.
Yep. So we've got Herlock fighting for 5th place here with Callum Cripps is tucked in behind for now. Probably going to try and get a good exit up the hill here, but Cripps, I imagine, is going to use the boost, or are they saving it for later? They're saving it for later. So looks like Herlock's going to get a little bit of slipstream as they're going to try and a dive down the inside, pointing the nose in, and got the line. Can they hold it together? They can just about, but it looks like that Honda is still going to keep ahead.
So bravely held around the outside, but compromised on the exit, and that's then opened the door yet again for Herlock to have a look up the inside into Allard. 90-mile-an-hour corner here, 2 by 2 they go. They both stay on the circuit, and Herlock makes another position. Commitment on the brakes from Herlock paying dividends.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, that's Cripps using quite a bit of boost early on in the race. Wasn't able to use it to defend as the part of that one, so that's why they've kind of didn't use it on that last lap. I imagine they're going to start using it to try and keep with Herlock.
So yes, we'll have to see how he utilizes his allocation. We believe he does have plenty of boost available, but perhaps he's just choosing to hold it for whatever reason. Of course, an extra 65 horsepower sounds good, but if it, for example, you'll be using a bit more fuel, for example, has the car been fueled correctly? There could be all sorts of reasons why you might not be able to use that allocation. So we'll have to see. But Herlock, with no more boost remaining and the lowest amount in the field, has made a good return. I'd say be thrilled with his race so far.
Yeah, Crits isn't using their boost, which is quite interesting. We see Mitchell here right on the back of Harley London, not letting her get away anytime soon. So that's going to be a fun one to keep a lookout as they're both using it up at the end of this lap. Their boost system goes yellow to say they're finished for that lap, and then resets back to grey to say ready to use on the next lap.
Mitchell trying to, as you say, work out how he can make progress and get on to the podium alongside his teammate Tom Stevens. The gap between Cal and Stevens, which was very close in the early stages of the race, has started to expand as a little bit of an opening there for Mitchell. Tried to make the most of it, but Harley closes the door as they run into Noble. Just different lines, carrying and getting on the power at different points. You can cause a little bit of an overlap. And my goodness me, the rear of that Ford Focus getting no! Mitchell, hold on to that. Yes, he does. Front wheel drive, slam that accelerator down, and the front of his car comes back around, and oh, look who's there to benefit. It's Dan Herlock. So Mitchell attack to hanging on for dear life in the space of just a few seconds.
I honestly thought that was Harley that was actually going to be spinning, and it was Mitchell behind. And I've seen that. I've done that myself before. You're so focused on the car in front that you think I can just go a little bit wider than them, not realizing they're already using all the track, and before you know it, you're trying to use the grass, which, as we saw there, just does not work.
It does not, and with that little bit of excitement, we've got actually a concertina, a third, I think, through almost down to maybe even eighth. As we've got just a few more laps to go. Our leaders comfortably about 5 or 6 or so seconds ahead of what is becoming a real scrap here for the final podium position. Still a lot to play for here, and another moment like that, you could find yourself going from, say, 3rd, 4th or 5th all the way down to 8th or 9th.
What did I say at the start of this race? I said Herlock's going to struggle to make places up with just one lap of boost. They've started 10th, they're currently 4th. I think they're going to maybe struggle now because Mitchell's now got a few laps of boost and is right on the tail and can use it through these corners to try and catch up. So Harley's also using it to pull away. But everyone can use boost now, but looks fit to the end. I think the exception there is Alan Smith will have one lap, they can't use it. But yeah, it's now a boost race effectively.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Mitchell now on that boost. Have they got the car geared perhaps a little too short, not able to use the full advantage of that boost perhaps? Just saw well into the rev range there on the exit of Church, just not able to make much progress on that BMW. A little bit squirrely there from Herlock on the exit as they run into Allard this time around. But I think we're starting to see a few interesting differences in methodology. We've got some teams perhaps optimizing for a car without boost, and those who maybe are.
Yeah, I think so, and I think we're going to have to keep an eye on Mitchell here because they are kind of holding. What's an interesting line there from Herlock to kind of all the curb and then some. And yeah, this is going to be a fascinating finale to watch. Probably worth also pointing out that Stevens gained a few tenths back on Dan Kell for the lead, but the gap is now 8 tenths. Then they are currently 6 seconds ahead of this fight. So yeah, this is the one to watch at the moment.
So Herlock. Now well and truly with Harley London as they now make their way respectively through Church Bend. My goodness me, I always have a little frog in my throat watching how sideways some of those cars get through Church, because that is a very big accident to have if you do get that one wrong. But on the brakes they now go. Looks like Harley taking the traditional wider line in, but Herlock, my goodness, is so comfortable on his brakes. He's able to hold that tight line and make so much ground each braking zone into club there.
Yeah, we've also missed a couple more retirement of Thomas Wack, also retired from that big crash. And Emil Sauberg is also now retired, having dropped out of the points. And the yellow in sector 3, not quite sure who for. Looks like Louis Neal is going into the pits, and that could be their race over.
Busy with literally our leaders starting the final lap of the race, just half a second now between these two, so that gap has actually come down in the last few laps. So it's still going to be a bit of a, I'd say, a hurdle to jump to try and make that kind of lap time up with half a lap to go. But Kel on the boost, so is Stevens. Down towards Church they come for the final time in race one. My goodness me, look how they pitch their machines into that fast right-hander, but they gather it up, get a clean exit as they now run up the Brooklands Bend one more time. One more braking zone to focus on as our drivers run into the final corner for this first race. Dan Kell lights to flag under pressure, but managed beautifully. Takes the win. Looks like we've got Hurlock trying to go all the way around the outside of London, and there is contact. Is Luke Mitchell going to make the most of that? Yes, they are. Harley London holds on and defends her position, finishes third place. Dan Hurlock fifth. Luke Mitchell getting the fourth place there. Callum Cripps sixth, for Allington seventh. Cedo Wire in eighth. Zach Evans ninth. Ben Willis rounding out the top 10. Oh my goodness. Final corner, delivering a little bit of action right on the last lap.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I think what happened there was Harley kind of held the inside and braked a little bit earlier. So Louis tried the outside line. That first bit of contact then kind of means they need to reset their lines up for the second bit of the chicane, which then caused more contact. And yeah, Hurlock was the wrong side there, and it was Mitchell that benefited from it.
Well, it's bold to go around the outside. If you can make it work, you look like a hero. If it doesn't work, well, it doesn't go your way. But thankfully, both cars pointing the right direction, following that bit of rubbing and bumping that touring car racing often provides, and able to finish the race. So a slow burn, but a tactical demonstration of race one. Drivers working together, drivers using their boost, and a few overtakes and a few moments of drama as well for those up and down the field. So let's run through the finishing order for round 13. Daniel Kell wins from Tom Stevens. Harley London rounds out the podium. Luke Mitchell for Kings finishes in fourth place, with Daniel Hurlock a great fifth place in his RSR machine. Callum Cripps came home in sixth place, with Martha Allington in seventh. Cedo Wire for Brabham came home in eighth, with Zachary Evans and Ben Willis rounding out our top 10.
In 11th place, it was Callum Wilson for Sector 1 Esports. Alan Smith in 12th, with Jordan Hyde starting 20th, finishing 13th. Matthew Williams 14th, with Scott Mitchell Marm after that poor start, still managed to get a point in 15th. Jack Bonney, first race, and just outside the points, but well played, 16th place. Louis Neal in 17th. We kind of missed, I think he took a drive through at the end, so they cut the chicane too much, maybe. Have to ask them about that. Emil Salberg, Thomas Wack, and Robin Willing were DNF.
That is our 20 runners and riders that we have with us this evening. Yeah, that was... I think there's a few interesting things just to keep an eye on. So we've got Dan Kell, who is, as I mentioned, race winner, championship winner, certainly knows his way around a touring car, knows his way around Thruxton. Superb result for him. Fantastic result for Harley London. Fantastic to see her on the podium. Both Calamity cars were running very nicely there. So we'll have to see if Calamity can keep that run going throughout the rest of this evening. But hats off, my goodness. Dan Hurlock with one lap of boost. Making the positions, just keeping your nose clean. That is how you build a championship charge.
Yeah, it really is. Like I said, starting 10th, getting involved there up to 5th. Obviously, there was a slight little, could have had 4th there, so lost a few points over Kings Racing guys. But actually, that's still a very solid amount of points. And now they're going to have 1 lap of boost to about 5 laps of boost, which is what you kind of need around here.
We'll have to see how he uses it. Going from 1 to 5, I think, is going to be music to the ears, more to work with. So we will see how that, as well as obviously naturally starting a bit further up the grid, that will pan out. So yes, that was a pretty action-packed first race. We will have to see how our drivers do in the second.
Yep, and they have a few minutes now to recover, like ourselves, before we get going again and enjoy these various Vauxhall Astras, I think, by the looks of it. And have you ever tried going left of these barriers, by the way, on this shot? Because I remember back in the day, it used to be an invisible wall, and I found that out the hard way once.
Yes. There's not any more. I believe when we had I'll call it the official content from Studio 397, that wall was not included, but there certainly was in, let's say, some fan-made recreations of the circuit. There was a very literal invisible wall there, and I think I once found that by mistake. I didn't get my braking right into that final chicane, and well, there's a gap there. I'll just drive through it, and that was the end of that practice session. So. Indeed.
It just suddenly you get like a sudden shudder through your steering wheel. You didn't realise. Yes, I think it was Plato that crashed there once, wasn't he? And he was very unhappy with the barrier layout, all the wall pieces. But I remember watching Plato being knocked off. I think it got like front right suspension damage, didn't he? Someone dived down the inside. He kind of went straight on and came to quite a sudden stop, and was not particularly happy.
I say that is what walls tend to do, give the sudden stop. That is what gets you. So yes, but no, I think it's interesting to seeing just the variety, for example, of lines into that final chicane. You had Herlock, who was clinical, finding, as you mentioned, Phil, in commentary, that BMW's width that was just there. You've got the likes of the line that Harley London used a few times, the more traditional wider line to keep the car straight, to sweep the car in, optimize for the exit from the chicane. All of these have pros and cons, which, subject to the situation that you find yourself in, will be better or worse, and it is an evolving, based off of the cars around you, bit of racecraft that circuit offers, and is amplified just due to the fact you have just the two chicanes here.
Yep, and the high ambient temperature is probably helping with the brakes. I know I used to struggle under braking because obviously you don't use the brakes for 2/3 of the lap. You only really use it at the chicane. A little dab at turn 3 chicane, a little dab going through, not Allard, I've lost the name of it. The long right-hander, what do you call that one? Goodwood. There's a little, after Noble, little dab of the brakes there. But apart from that, it's just 3 braking zones, really. And then, from Goodwood all the way around the club, your brakes get nice and cold, and then whack them on again. And also turning into that, slight right-hander at club with brakes on. You have to be very careful on the old brake temperature front. I'm guessing the ambient temperature, track temperature, ambient 27, track 33 is probably helping these hard tyres.
It may very well do indeed. And you might say, if you're new to sim racing and TCUK, well, first of all, welcome. Lovely to have you with us. All of these factors, temperatures, of your tyres, of the air condition, the humidity, all of these things are being factored in as a part of the simulation. So the fact it's a bit warmer today will help the hard tyre, which gives a little bit less grip, needs a bit more heat. It will make that a little bit easier for our drivers to work with. The fact that it's a bit warmer will mean that the brakes stay a bit warmer as well. Thruxton having so few braking zones, you've got to keep those brakes in a working window. You can, and I have driven in cold conditions here where you do lose brake temperature, and when you then run into club, you push your foot on the brake pedal and it doesn't quite happen how you expect it to, so you have to constantly adjust. Or you go straight on, just into the wall. Not ideal, but yes, it is all part of what our drivers are having to manage, and it is truly a dance with the car to work out what equipment you've got underneath you.
Did you ever have a good time here in terms of results and racing? And obviously, I know you obviously do also iRacing, which has Thruxton now. So, in both VMO / other touring league / iRacing,
I've won my fair share of touring car races around here. There was one particular showing actually in the Levorg where I thought, I've got no chance, and then results came my way, so that was nice. I had actually a fantastic race with Mr. Kell on iRacing, both in BMW M4s. Mr. Kell got the better of me that day, but yes, I've enjoyed my racing around Thruxton. Like I say, it's probably the closest thing that you would see to an oval, which isn't an oval, and with the fact that you have cars strung together, slipstreaming each other for most of the lap, it's a different dynamic to manage as a driver. So it's a cool circuit. It is my favorite. It is also my local circuit, which does bias me slightly. But no, it's a cool place, and I've had my fair share of success in the virtual world.
Yes, should probably clarify that. So you said M4, so GT3's round here. That must be interesting time going through the likes of, well, I'm guessing there's just infinite downforce through Church.
Well, so this was GT4 cars. This was in, they called it the Production Car Challenge. It was a bit of a curious placement of that car. But anyway, but yes, certainly the faster cars, those with aerodynamics, I've taken again in iRacing the Mercedes Formula One car around here. It's quite something. I think that the lap record here is 56 seconds or so, and that was Damon Hill in one of the old Williams back in the 90s. I would love to see what some modern formula machinery could do around here. I'm sure it would be terrifying.
I'm gonna chase that record and get back to you on that one very shortly. Yeah, the unofficial lap record is indeed 57.6, set by Damon Hill in 1993.
There you go. That was close-ish.
Yep. Close enough. Yeah, that's well. I mean, that's insane. Sub minute around it. Well, it's just flat out, isn't it? Especially in an old Formula One car. What the new ones would do in the right hands. No offense, Juggy.
Oh, and yeah, no, absolutely. It is one of the as a motorsport fan, you know, and I'm sure those on the grid would agree. It is a fun way to engage with the sport, just doing it yourself. And some of these cars that our heroes drive are on another level. Anyway. We've now got our grid forming for race 2, so we'll just run through our starting order. Dan Kell, pole position. Tom Stevens in 2nd place. Harley London in 3rd. Luke Mitchell will start 4th with Dan Hurlock in 5th. Callum Cripps will start in 6th place, followed by Martha Allington. Rounding out our top 10, we'll have Cedar Wire, Zach Evans and Ben Willis.
11th place, it's Callum Wilson for Sector 1 Esports of Alan Smith starting 12th. Jordan Hyde, 13th. Be fun to watch for them, I think, at the start of the race. Obviously, 20th to 13th. Where can they do in race 2? Matthew Williams in 14th. Scott Mitchell-Marm, 15th. Jack Boney in 16th. Can they get their first points in this their second race? Louis Neal in 17th. Thomas Wack in 18th. Robin Moding in 19th. And it'll be Fraser Hart has joined us in 20th.
Yes, although at least on the screen I've got here, it looks like Fraser is in the pit lane. So not sure if he'll be actually taking the grid start with us or not. We will see.
Yeah, it looks like that. Just Fraser having some boost issues, and Emil Selberg has sadly left. So we've had one join, one leave. So we've still got 20 cars.
20 cars, 20 runners and riders. We've got Dan Hurlock again in the picture-in-picture. We'll have to see what he can do from 5th place. Drivers just getting the final bit of temperature, final bit of feel for their machines as they approach their starting boxes, starting grid here for race 2 this evening. So as the grid pulls into their grid positions, a few drivers already starting to make angles, position themselves to try and get the best possible launch. Looks like everyone's just about in position. So now we wait for our drivers to focus on the lights and for the revs to rise. Here we go. Engine notes are up. Lights out and away we go for race 2 this evening. Looks like a pretty even start from our top 4. Everyone falling into line order by order. A few drivers starting to fall slightly further back towards the rear of the field. Yellow flag briefly there as drivers made their way through turn 1 into the Campbell Cobb Seagrave complex for the first time in race 2. A little bit of overlap there for Cripps on Mitchell, but nothing doing this time around. Now we've got overlap between Stevens and Kell as they exit Seagrave on the first time of asking.
Yeah, it looks like they've all kind of held together so far, as Hurlock has lost a spot to Cripps. And Allington there with a bit of a bogged down start, has dropped a few places down to 11th. And Fraser Hart has started from the pit lane, so they're a few seconds further back.
To see if Fraser's able to make up the time as everyone settles down and has a little scrap. Some cars already dueling, getting a bit four-wheel sideways. Ben Willis there in 9th place, trying to make a move on Zach Evans. Tom Stevens has been able to make his way to the point as they ran from Church up towards Clubbers. Oh, we've got cars off in the background. Allington involved. Oh my goodness me, we've got cars facing backwards going down the hill. Oh boy, several cars involved here. We'll have to get a replay for that one, but drama on lap 1.
It was drama indeed. They all kind of rejoining, kind of just about all holding it together as I see the Drakes going in the pits. But yeah, so Stevens up to 1st, Kell holding back in 2nd. Looks like Mitchell's also made a place up to 3rd. Just trying to see what happened. Hurlock's also lost another spot. He's down in 7th now.
But yeah, it appears that the King's cars have decided to respond to Calamity and their good showing in the first race. Now we've got 2 King's cars in the top 3. Here's our replay. Let's see what happened on the run-up out of Church.
So going through church, gonna have a lot of sideways cars, I imagine. So all fine so far. Is it just gonna be? That's a little bit naughty. And is that gonna? Oh, it's just gonna put the so two wheels, front wheel drive on the. How most people missed all that, I'm still not quite sure. That explains why the Drake just sort of shot there, hit the back of that King's car, and then yeah, just had kind of no chance of avoiding it, sadly. As that is everyone's fighting for fifth place by the looks of it. They go 2 by 2.
It appears so. Gosh, who was that? It was one of the Brabhams, I think. Very slow. As goodness me, I think that's Herlock trying to make some forward progress in overrunning the Cobb chicane there, and he's going to fall backwards through the field here. Lost 2 places, I believe that is. We've now got Zach Evans up to 5th, Cedar Wire 6th. Herlock now holds on to 7th with Callum Wilson making his way forward into 8th place. Harley London, who was in 3rd place at the start, falling back down the order. Got some robust touring car paint swapping going on there, going through Cobb.
Yeah, you can definitely tell this is race 2, can't you? It's kind of all kicking off, and this is good news for Cripps, who's got a nice 4-second gap between 4th and 5th. The party is kind of right here from 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, even 9th is kind of Ben Willis is kind of on the tail end of all this. So that middle group is all keeping close together.
They're running mighty wide, using all of the road as Zach Evans at this time of asking, just trying to hold on to his position, trying to fend off Dan Herlock. The more that these two scrap, as Phil was just saying, that allows Cripps and Mitchell and Kell and Stevens to just help focus forward, build their gap. And here we go. Looks like Daniel Herlock's going to try and send his car up the inside, but it looks like Zach Evans was wise to that one. Late on the brakes as well. No way through that time round.
Some proper flying formation going on with these guys now, aren't they? Look at that, like a little train of what, 7 of them are going, maybe even 8. So we've got 5th, 6th, 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah. So definitely kind of a train going on. There's Alan Smith taking a little bit too much grass, but is holding on to this little train.
Yeah, but one mistake from any of these drivers in either attack or defence, and they'll be straight to the back of it. And depending on how much time and momentum they lose, they could lose the back of this train. So I think so we've got a few cars side by side on the exit there just behind this group. So we're starting to get, as you say, Phil, race 2, folks getting a bit more feisty, being a bit more forceful with their overtakes, with their manoeuvres. So we've now got Dan Herlock really asking some big questions of Zachary Evans, just covering his line, not changing direction. Bit on the shallower line though through Church, which is going to make the exit compromised. And here comes Herlock. Is he using his boost? No, but Wilson is behind. So we've now got the BMW and the Hyundai side by side. Who is going to be brave on the brakes? Even rubbing, holding on round the outside. Tries Herlock, good effort, but the inside line for Zach Evans wins out this time around. We've now got this duel for 5th place now, covering 5th through 9th. We've now got 4 in this scrap.
Yeah, that Hyundai is, I've not seen a wider Hyundai in a very long time. As again, Herlock's looking down the outside for the first bit, giving the inside for the second, but sadly the outside for that third. So I'm not quite sure that's going to work unless they can use the boost out of this corner. They'll have a few laps worth. It says 0 there again, but looks like the others are using boost around them.
Yeah, Evans just on the boost there, just to help his exit, help build that gap. I think Herlock perhaps trying to get Evans to go overly defensive, which then compromises this part of the circuit, but Evans was wise to that one. So yes, a real story starting to build here. The group, which was all the way down to 11th, is looking to split ever so slightly into 2 groups now. But the group here scrapping over 5th place, I beg your pardon, is definitely compressing as these two continue to duel.
Yeah, and the gap between 1st and 2nd is holding at half a second at the moment. Tom Stevens also with the fastest lap, so keep an eye on that. But this is the battle to watch, because this is just fantastic of kind of attack and defend, and then kind of stick to your line, hold, go a little bit wide, try and get a little bit more speed. But yeah, Evans has got that defensive Hyundai driving down to a T.
Absolutely. This place rewards good racecraft. Defense is good racecraft. So Zach putting on a good show so far. Hopefully that continues, and it's going to have to make some of these drivers work very hard to make forward progress. Speaking of forward progress, our leaders, we haven't seen too much of them, but they remain Tom Stevens from Dan Kell. The gap between those two still about half a second. Luke Mitchell holds third, a few seconds further back. Callum Cripps again another few seconds back. Those four just running and managing their own race at the moment, as we've just got a car running a little bit wide there up the hill. So that may be Kell, I think, losing to Luke Mitchell, is it?
It looks like possibly.
Oh no, Stevens running wide, beg your pardon.
Yes, sorry, that was our leader running a little bit wide. So the gap is at 4 tenths, as we've got in picture of Herlock still fighting Evans, because we do want to definitely keep an eye on how that fight happens. But it looks like Herlock can get right up to the back of that Hyundai, and then it just kind of pulls away a little bit. He's using boost that lap, which obviously has helped them defend. Yeah, holding on as long as they can, as Herlock is going to take the outside for the first bit of the chicane, and then hopefully make use of it on the inside. So it breaks a little bit later, and looks like they have finally managed to do it. And now that other BMW wants to get by as quickly as possible. Yes,
I think that was a little bit of collaboration at that point. Perhaps Zach was going, right, okay, if I keep using my boost, I'm going to go backwards towards the end of the race. Let's just sort ourselves out, and perhaps just for a few laps you can tow us around for a moment. So I think Zach just allowing that move to happen, which is sometimes the right thing to do. Let the car get ahead of you, and just focus on what you need to do to get to the end of the race as quick as possible.
Yep, definitely. As the gap now to the leaders is down to 3 tenths. So Stevens only has 2 laps of boost, and Kell only has 1. I know it's showing 10 there, but it doesn't really is. But it looks like Smith, any of them are using boost in this little train. Just Louis Neal in 10th place at the moment.
Yeah, this scrap over 10th, 11th, 12th, vital for the reverse grid. We've not mentioned it too much this evening, but 12th through 6th place will be eligible for a reverse grid draw for our final race of the evening. So every place, every position here, absolutely critical and valuable, as Alan Smith in 12th place makes a move for 11th, gets up the inside there of Harley London, and looks like he's been able to complete that one. Harley comes back on the exit though, keeping the speed around the outside of Allard, but I think runs just ever so slightly too deep into Campbell, which now puts her at threat from the kart marketplace of RSR Astra of Thomas Wack, and looks like Thomas able to make his way forward.
It just shows you're slightly offline. You can, defending one position, you can lose 2. That was a great move there from Wack. Just kind of notice where that focus was going. It's going very sideways at the moment. That's going to lose a lot of speed, but still holding for now. As we cut back to Dan Kell and Stevens, kind of gap is kind of stabilised again at 3 tenths. I don't know. I was wondering if Stevens was going to try and hold up Kell to help Luke Mitchell, but the gap between Kell and Mitchell was 2 seconds. Probably a little bit too much to try and hold up Kell.
Yes, I would agree with that, and I think I saw, just as we were watching our leaders come through the club chicane for the 8th time of asking, I think I saw actually perhaps a bit of lap traffic that our drivers will need to manage in a moment. So another variable for our leaders to work with.
Yep, Jack Bonnie I think was involved in that big crash on lap 1 with the pits, got the car repaired, so he's a lap down. Just getting some more experience, more laps under their belt. It's always good for the first evening.
Absolutely agree. You can only learn by being out on the track. So good stuff from Jack to stay out there.
We've got a replay here of Ben Willis currently in 9th place. So all going fine so far. Going through turn 1, a little bit too much curb maybe. No, maybe not enough. In fact, I'd say going very wide, but luckily there's just enough grass there to straight line it and keep going.
Deceptive corner Allard. About 90 mile an hour, right-hander. You hit that curb. Sometimes that can cause the understeer moment, which throws you wide, but it tightens up on exit, keeps pulling on into the right, and if you get it wrong, you're then immediately in trouble as the track then turns left into the Campbell chicane. So Ben able to gather that one up.
Yeah, currently in 9th place as well, which is a really nice little spot for them. Some decent points for the evening, as Herlock is very slowly catching up to the back of Cripps. Now has the fastest lap. The gap now down to 1.3 seconds between Herlock and Cripps, so that'll be worth watching to see if they can get more positions as we see the fight for the last points between Fraser Hart in 15th and Matthew Williams of Craven in 14th.
Every point, of course, critical. Everyone racing for something, and it's great to see scraps all the way down to 15th place and even a bit further back as well. So still lots to play for, lots to race for. It's what we love about TCUK here at VMO.
Yeah, the gap. Kel is definitely catching up to the back of Stevens. They haven't quite caught up to this back marker yet. Still a nice big chunk of track ahead of them. Just seeing if Kel fancies got a little bit of slipstream. As we're watching Fraser Hartman, another very sideways forward focus cuts into shot, and yep, this is so far so good for Stevens, but definitely Kel is starting to ask questions as we get well into the second half of this race.
Car setup, perhaps a little bit of driver management of the tyres, just keeping them in a good window as the race runs on, and Kel's definitely started to ask some more questions of Stevens and his Kings Racing Honda Civic. Meanwhile, Dan Kell made miracles in the first race, and he is pushing and hustling hard to try and make more progress in this second race, running a bit wide this time around, going through Allard, trying to chase down Callum Cripps in the Brabham. You're not going to, unfortunately, make time by going off the circuit like that, but you can see how much Dan is trying to push and catch and still make places.
Yeah, I mean, if they get past Cripps quick enough, you then start looking at the podium going, well, 3 seconds up further up the road is the podium spot. Could they do that in 5 laps? Probably a little bit too much to ask, but the gap between Cripps and Herlock is just coming down hammer over fist.
So here we are on board with Dan Kell, second place. We've got Tom Stevens, our race leader, just ahead, and there is that lap traffic that we were just calling just a few moments ago. Up the hill they go through Brooklands into Club. You start on the left-hand side, you dart to the right, you keep the car tight, over the curve, big bump, big bump, through the exit, through Club, and over the start-finish line to finish lap 11, start lap 12. Kell definitely keeping the King's car ahead, very honest, and a fantastic bit of driving there from the lapped traffic to get out the way and not cause an issue for our leaders.
Yeah, there's now there's a 3-second gap between second and third, so there's a little bit of a little respite there for our lap traffic, just to kind of try and get back into the rhythm, even nab a little bit of their slipstream to help them pull them along a little bit. But that was good, aware of their rearview mirrors and what's going on. And as we see Herlock here now right on the back of Callum Cripps. That took what, a lap and a half?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really not much time required, and Herlock is right there. And I think perhaps you're seeing a little bit of difference here. The rear-wheel drive car, you can use your right foot to help rotate the car. Perhaps that means you can keep a slightly tighter line in some places, and Herlock definitely shaking a bit more speed into some of these corners. Look at that car, slightly sideways on the way in. Full trust that that car is going to grip up and hold at the apex. Dan is definitely at one with his machine at the moment.
Yep, I think they've got 3 laps of boost left, so they'll be able to use it for all bar one of the final 4 laps. So Cripps there had a few laps as well to defend, but I think this is a bit of a foregone conclusion here as Herlock looks at the inside of turn 1 and thinks better of it.
Yeah, didn't quite get the traction that was desired, but perhaps this is again as the race is just winding on, wearing down. The front-wheel drive starting to have to manage their tyres. Oh, bold on the brakes around the outside of Campbell. It's going to be hard work to defend that one. Bumping, rubbing into Cobb they go, but still there is Callum Cripps. He's not giving up this fight. Still got an overlap as they now run towards Noble. You can run side by side, both on the boost, trying to secure this one, but it looks like Herlock wins out.
Yeah, they're both using the boost to kind of Herlock to defend. Cripps to defend, Herlock to attack, but it looks like Herlock's now done it. The cap to Luke Mitchell in third is 4 seconds, so there has to be a second lap there, which would be something as Callum Wilson also jumps Cripps. So the two Callum swap.
Indeed, Cripps there just getting a little bit too much oversteer, lost the momentum through the tricky Goodwood right-hander, and that's the invitation that Wilson needed to just slip on by, just carry his speed.
Yep, good move there, and nice season amount of points. We've got a yellow in sector 2, not quite sure who's that for, seeing if anyone falling down the order. No one I can see at the moment, so not sure what's happened there. Oh, Harley London looks like they're slowing.
Oh dear. So yes, the yellow flag clearing, perhaps car recovering at this point, but margins for error very few and far between. You get off on the grass with some of these loaded corners, you are absolutely a passenger. Let's see a replay.
Yep, so going through Goodwood, already going sideways, correcting it once. okay so far, and then suddenly it kind of comes in a little bit too fast for you, and before you know it, you're on the grass, and yep, trying to power out, They're going to tap the wall. That brings them worryingly closer. As soon as they were on a collision course of the circuit, they whacked the anchors on, which is the right thing to do there. And new underpants, please.
Yes, not a good place to have a moment. Church equally not a good place to have a moment. But yes, there is a wall there at Village, and it does catch your car, and did Harley's there. So that's unfortunate. But still a race to go. Still plenty of time to make some places up. Our leaders remain Stevens from Kell, but now we have Cedo Wire looking to try and overtake Zach Evans. Looks like a little bit of friendly contact there. No advantage taken between Wire and Evans this time around. Evans looking to try and build that gap straight away, trying to take the very limit of track limits there through the club chicane. That gap has now come back to about 0.6 of a second, so one to watch.
Yeah, Louis Neal also down to 12. If we can get a replay of Louis Neal, I think they did half a lap on the grass just then. It was quite insane as they went wide at Goodwood and then struggled to get back on at Church. And you see, that was a bit of a dive there from Scott Mitchell-Marm and Martha Allington. That looked at the very hip and shoulders overtake. Apparently they've done it. We'll let the stewards decide on that one later, but still both running at least.
Yes, that was very opportune, very late on the brakes, and very much, my car is here now, what do we do? So bold, assertive. We will see if there's any other assertions about that move a little bit later on, but Mitchell-Marm up to 16th and now just one place away from 15th.
So this is Louis Neal. So it kind of starts having the same accident as we saw the Calamity Focus earlier. Just kind of runs out of road through the long right-hander. Just about keeps it pointing the right way. There's a little spin, kind of keeps it out of that barrier, but then can't turn right to kind of get the car back on, and then spits off the other way, nearly hits and whacks through that. So if you don't need any lawn cutting on the left-hand side of the circuit, because I think Louis done it for you. They did manage to get it all back together.
Yes, we've had a lot of rallycross action in TCUK this year. I think Louis just provided this round's entry to the album. So yes, most of the second sector not on the second sector, but Louis continues in 12.
Yep. We're currently on the final lap. The gap between Herlock and Mitchell for the podium is 1.4 seconds. So I think Herlock needed another lap or two. But these guys, Stevens and Kell, they've been, that gap's been under a second for pretty much the entire race. Kell not able to find the gap in the end. And a good race from Stevens as he comes up to the final corners.
Yes, one last braking zone navigated, 2 more changes of direction dealt with, hard on the power, running up towards the start-finish line. Tom Stevens wins race 2 this evening from Dan Kell, hard on the boost there right to the very end. So we wait for our remainder of the field to come through. Fraser Hart now being passed, I believe, by Scott Mitchell-Marm. Scott Mitchell-Marm up to 15th place as they ran through Church for the final time of asking. On the brakes they go up the hill. Looks like everyone's just holding position, holding their line, keeping tight, not offering an opportunity. Martha Allington going all sorts of sideways, trying to steal a march, but not that time around as this set of drivers finish in formation.
They do indeed. So, that was some fun racing. I'm just trying to work out, was Martha finishing 15th there?
I think Martha was 16th.
Louis Neal, we were just hearing, it's got another penalty. So that's bumped them down to, right down the order, 18th, which means Martha does get the final point. I was about to say it's a shame that Martha missed out on the final point there, but looks like they get it.
There you go. I wonder, perhaps we mentioned the automated track limit system, perhaps a penalty caught, perhaps right at the dire end, just undoing Louis there. We'll have to see if there's any discussion in the driver's room between our second and third races. So 2 races in the books. The Kings Racing team strike back. Tom Stevens and Luke Mitchell on the podium for the Kings Racing team, continuing to put their mark on the teams championship here in TCUK. Let's run through our finishing order. Tom Stevens came home with the win, followed by Dan Kell for Calamity Motorsport, Luke Mitchell in third. Daniel Hurlock came home in fourth place. More good points for him. Callum Wilson continuing his good run of form in fifth. Callum Cripps and Cedar Wire for Brabham Motorsport came home in P6 and P7. Zachary Evans came home in P8 with Ben Willis in P9. Then Alan Smith rounding out the top 10 for Craven Racing.
That looks very confusing because yes, it'd be. I think the penalty has confused it. So yes, P11 Thomas Wack, 12 Jordan Hyde, 13th was Louis Neal, but we know he then jumped down the order, which then means it was Matthew Williams in 12th, Scott Mitchell-Marmon 13th, Fraser Hart 14th, Martha Allington getting that 15th place position, Harley London 17th. It was then Louis Neal 18th after the penalty, Jack Boney in 19th, and Robin Moding in 20th.
So 2 races down, plenty of action. We've got a reverse grid race to come, and race 2 was a bit more feisty than race 1 as our drivers start to build and round out their evening. One more race to go, everything still to play for, and everything very close in the midfield.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to see who's going to get that the first pole. So yeah, it goes from I think I'm saying 7th to 12th. Pick a random number, and that person will get pole, and we'll swap the rest round. So you're looking after Cedo is 7th, Ben Willis 8th, Alan Smith 9th, Thomas White 10th, Jordan Hyde 11th, Matthew Williams in 12th. We're just waiting from the broadcast. Be a few minutes as to what the random number is, and we'll then get you the grid for the final race of the evening.
Yes, so drivers will have the amount of boost available to them based on their finishing position. So if we had a complete reverse draw, our race winner would have, I think it's the 1 lap of boost and start in P12, for example. So we will have to see what that reverse grid number is, but it will be a challenge with that little boost to make progress. But then again, we saw Dan Hurlock, I'd say, do the unimaginable and make a whole host of positions without boost. So we'll have to see how everyone manages this third race, which is normally a bit more action-packed, isn't it, Phil?
It usually is. It's usually a bit more chaos. So yeah, we'll pop Eldo's out. I was going to ask you, have you driven on this track in real life? Obviously, we said we walked it 1 year for the bit of Asian Man for Billy Monger. Have you done any of the track day stuff with Thruxton here?
I have not. It's been one of the things on my kind of bucket list. I am lucky that I do have quite a nice car, which is suitable for track daying, and Thruxton is one of the places which I've actually wanted to take it. From what I've read, it's a pretty good place to track day a car. Most road cars, you won't hit their VMAX, and there's very few big braking zones, so you don't go through brakes. So yes, not yet, but maybe we will see what the future holds.
Yeah, they do some nice car stuff as well that you can actually hire a few. Well, I say hire a few cars, do a few laps in various Ferraris and Lambos, and we've had a friend that's done the Formula Renault car around here as well. Definitely one day I'll do it. I have driven on the airfield, if that counts.
Yes, I believe you did some training on the airfield, did you not?
I did. I had a motorbike lesson on Thruxton Airfield. Brilliant place to train on a motorbike. There's nothing you can crash into. So yes, I had a bike lesson. Apart from a plane landing. Thank you for coming around. There were no planes luckily that day. I had a free bike lesson. I was 20 years old at the time. God blimey, 16 years ago. That's a long time. I had a motorbike lesson and was very tempted to get a bike until I had a friend who was going to do a city charity drive to Mongolia, and I said, "Oh, that sounds brilliant. I should do that. I should probably learn how to drive." And that's the only reason I didn't get a motorbike.
Yes, I have a lot of respect for those who are on motorbikes. I don't know, just for me, it's the lack of protection. I like having doors and roofs around me. So to each their own, but no, a good place to learn in safety, let's say. Yeah,
no, very good. Like I said, really appreciated it, and it just, my road went down a different way. We're hearing, by the way, that it's P6, it's 6 to 12, not 7 to 12. Is a reverse group, which means it'll be Callum Cripps on pole. And Callum Wilson in second. There we go. So yeah, Callum Cripps will be on pole with Callum Wilson, Daniel Hurlock and Luke Mitchell on the second row. Dan Kell and Tom Stevens will be 5th and 6th, and then 7th onwards will be as they were.
Yeah, so Certainly, I'd say for, I'll call it the protagonists, the Dan Herlocks of the world, like that's not a bad result. You're not too far away from where you could have possibly been. But we've seen Cripps, particularly in the first race, certainly have some strong pace. We'll have to see with a second opportunity, does he perhaps use his boost a bit differently to hold on to the lead for a bit longer?
Yeah, and obviously they're going to have, so starting 6th, you're going to get 6 laps of boost. Whereas the guys behind you are going to have less and less, so 5, 4, 3, 2, and Paul Stevens is going to start in 6th place with 1 lap of boost, and then everyone backwards there will have the normal 8, 9, 10, and most of the group have 10 laps of boost. So that always mixes it up, and obviously as we were talking, this track where boost is very much key is really going to hammer that home.
Yeah, it is interesting to see, like I say, some drivers perhaps not making the most of that boost. Certainly, I think one of the Honda Civics we were riding on board with, I think they were in the rev limiter halfway up the Brooklyn Straight. So that boost that they had, I don't think really felt the full benefit of it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how our drivers use that boost. Perhaps they are just optimizing to use the boost out of the slower corners and not for the top end speed.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. It's out those 2 chicanes, and you just kind of pin it through church and hope for the best. Yes, I remember many times VMAXing it up towards the final chicane. You just hear your engine just sat there going, ding, 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 and just hoping that you've kind of got it right. Because do you gear it up for slipstream? Do you gear it up for clear air? Do you gear it up for boost? Do you gear it up for no boost? And yeah, lots of parameters there to play with.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're obviously circulating here, racing for 20 or so minutes for 3 times tonight, the work that the drivers, the teams put in to come up with the strategies, get the car setups all together. There's a lot of work which happens behind the scenes, the livery painters as well, to work out what is the fastest way that they can get themselves around the circuit and get the best possible result. So we'll have to see in this 3rd and final race if anyone changes their strategy, perhaps knocks that 6th gear up an extra ratio, gives a bit more top end at the cost of perhaps a little bit of acceleration, and use that boost to help mask that. We'll see. So just as we are kind of concluding our final warm-up, we've just got a few minutes before we have our formation lap starting for the final time this evening. Phil, anyone you'd suggest keeping an eye out for in this 3rd and final race?
Oh, that is a very good question. So what we got? We obviously got the likes of I always say Dan Kell's always fun to watch with the way he keeps chucking that car sideways. I don't really know. I mean, Alan Smith starting in, I think, 8th for race 3. That'll be an interesting one to watch. He's used to kind of fighting for the odd point or two and suddenly finds himself in the top 10 this evening. So done really well. Some great progress there. Likewise, Fraser Hart had a boost technical issue in race 2. So they'll be starting race 3 with some boost, which will always be useful. And yeah, kind of go from there, really. I just want to see, it's going to be elbows out. Hopefully we don't have a big crash like we did in race 2, but it sadly wouldn't surprise me. But we'll see. I think hopefully they would have seen that race 2 crash and think, let's not try and do that again now. There are many points to be had here, and go from there.
Right, and I think you're absolutely right to highlight the likes of Alan Smith, Ben Willis. Like, there's a few drivers in the midfield having a really good evening so far, scoring some good consistent points, which is how you build championships together. So good to see a few drivers having a good run here this evening at the unique challenge which is Thruxton.
Yeah, fantastic, and it's going to be a fun one to watch. They are going to grid right now, final 16 laps for the evening. No chance of rain still. Track temperature 32 degrees, air temperature 28, so pretty much static as it has been pretty much in England for the whole week, and only getting hotter. I mean, thank God we're not racing tomorrow. Can you imagine that?
Oh God, blimey, yes. I still take my hat off to everyone racing tonight. Just sat in front of some screens and doing commentary. I'm feeling pretty warm to be in a rig with wheels and screens and such. Like that's hard work in these conditions. It's a different dynamic to work with.
Yes, I suppose the only bonus is obviously being 16 laps at a very fast circuit is one of the shortest races we have of the season, and so we're gonna have it all wrapped up in way before 10 o'clock, which is always nice considering we had a slight issue at the start of the evening. Yes, I'm sat here with my fan kind of pointed at me, so apologies if you hear a bit of vibration of the motor for my fan every now and then. But yeah, the idea of racing in this heat is scary for me, so I'll happily sit in the comms box. Sadly, not an air-conditioned one yet.
Oh, there you go. I'll have to ask you when you're installing the air conditioning for my comms box, Phil. Anyway, right, here we go. Our final race of the evening, round 15, and we've got our run through of our starting order. Callum Cripps in pole position, followed by Callum Wilson in second place. Dan Herlock will be in third. Luke Mitchell in fourth. Dan Kell will round out the top 5. Tom Stevens, our race 2 winner, will start 6th with Cedo Wire in 7th. Ben Willis will start 8th with Alan Smith in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 is Thomas Wack.
So you've got Jordan Hyde starting 11th. They've gone forward every single race. Will they do it again in race 3? Matthew Williams in 12th for Craven Racing, with Scott Mitchell-Marm not having the best of evenings tonight, starting 13th. Fraser Hart 14th. Martha Allington, YTF Racing in 15th. Zachary Evans, Say the Line, PMR powered by Richardson Co Racing in 16th. Harley London, she's starting in 17th. And then Emil Salberg is back for this race and starting 18th. Jack Boney is in 19th. And we've had Neil and Moaning sadly not returning. So just 19 runners and riders for this final race tonight.
So we'll have our onboard camera with Stevens for the start here as he makes his way towards the club chicane and makes his final preparations. We've got Callum Cripps here making his way to his pole position grid box. Callum Wilson alongside. Wilson had a fantastic showing last time out at Alton Park. Keep an eye on that rear wheel drive launch off the line here. So as our drivers make their way into their grid positions, get themselves lined up and ready to go, we just wait for our final drivers to get into position, which they are now. So now we wait for the revs to rise and the lights to come on. Lights out and away we go. Good start from our front two. Herlock, though, being absolutely swallowed by the field. Not a good start for our championship leader. Contact, in fact, with the Calamity Ford Focus there. We've got the front two breaking away as it's 3 wide almost down into the Campbell chicane.
Yep, they're kind of now going 2 by 2, the Kings and those ahead. So it's who's going to have the inside for the last bit to kind of usually get an opportunity, as Herlock takes so much curb and just about holds on to it up to third place, and the Callums are quickly trying to pull away. And yeah, it's sideways the Ford goes even so early on with these cold tyres they've got to contend with.
Through Goodwood they go for the first time over. It's little rise, which then throws you off towards the grass here on the exit, but everyone navigating their way nicely through there. The snake starts to form, the slipstream starts to build as they bob and weave their way through Church Corner out onto the exit. Tom Stevens starting to focus his efforts ahead onto Dan Kell. Looks like everyone's running nice and cleanly and equally spaced as they run into the club chicane for the first time.
Yeah, I don't think actually there's any overtake. I think we've got a 20 car or 19 car, sorry, snake. Looks like Salberg is up to 16th moving forward. Zachary Evans very wide there on exit. And yeah, so far, so good.
So everyone having a good clean start to the third race of the evening. I'm sure once everyone settles down, the fireworks will start to rise through the Campbell Cobb Seagrave complex we go. Here we are watching Alan Smith in 10th place in his Craven Racing Hyundai, taking a wide berth of that tricky curb there on the Seagrave apex. You get that one wrong, you lose so much momentum, so he wasn't going to risk that one. Here watching Dan Herlock, he's up to third, so he's been able to make some places and sliding and slithering through Noble and now Goodwood.
Yeah, and Dan Kell behind going very sideways with Tom Stevens right on their back bumper. And as they go through Church here, is there going to be anyone that thinks about using a little early boost? As we've got a yellow in sector 2. That's Scott Mitchell-Marm is out. What a horrible evening they've had. That's our first retirement of this final race tonight.
My goodness me, that's a bit of a shock retirement at this stage. We'll have to see if we can find out exactly what happens. Oh no! Cripps very wide as he locked his rear axle there on brakes. He was able to hold on to the lead, and my goodness me, the calamity of Dan Kell making a mistake as well. You do not tend to see errors out of these drivers running up at the front, and 2 in quick succession there. Looks like in the case of Kell, he has lost a place to Stevens. Goodness me, it's all starting to light up.
Yeah, and there's a group back, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th that are also fighting hard with each other. So we get a replay here of Scott Mitchell-Marms has got the inside going through the corner before Goodwood, and just gets turned around, and I think they've kind of just went, forget it, I'm done for tonight, which is a shame, but somewhat understandable.
Yeah, no contact with the wall, but yeah, that's unfortunately two cars into one converging, and these cars are so finely pitched and balanced as they are being hurled into some of these corners, just a little contact, and you are sent the opposite direction very quickly.
Yep, just watching the old top three as well. Herlock's obviously already, as normal, has already got the fastest lap, as the top two are using the boost to pull away from Herlock. Whether that be useful come end of the race, not quite sure. As that BMW is looking for the inside line, just kind of letting them know, saying, I am here if you want to make the same mistake again and go a bit deeper into this chicane, that'd be very useful.
Certainly looks like that Brabham car is not enjoying some of the bumps of the curves here at Thruxton. Certainly looks a bit rigid on the rear axle, and that is causing him a bit of strife and a bit of drama. The BMW is just kind of almost cruising gently, limousine-like, over some of these curves, allowing them to take a much shorter, shallower line and just get that little bit closer every time. Cripps well and truly under challenge here. Wilson, I think, having to check up ever so slightly to avoid contact, and that's going to give Herlock an opportunity here.
Yep, so Herlock's going to have the outside of the long left-hander. Are they going to try and hold it around the outside, then get the inside for Goodwood? No, they've decided. Whoa, that's a lot of grass, that's a lot of sideways. Are they going to hold it? No, contact.
Oh my goodness me, that is really unlucky. Herlock obviously running wide, collecting Wilson and collecting, I think, one of the King's cars, which was able to recover. But that is our two BMWs at the front, out of the chance, out of the running. Cripps now has a 2 and a bit second lead from Tom Stevens. My goodness me, that is not an ideal moment for either of those two drivers.
That's, Herlock's got this big gap, obviously, in the championship, but they're now down in 16th place and going to be fighting for a handful of points, and maybe getting a penalty later anyway, given the Wilson now running 18th, so has lost a load of places. Gives the opportunity to King's Racing to kind of get a bit more gap for Tom Stevens.
Absolutely, and for the likes of Scott Mitchell-Marm, who's obviously not going to score, that might be a bit of damage control as well. So you never know what can happen in these races, and an unfortunate moment there for the two BMWs. Contact here and a real scrap. 3 wide they are here over P6, 7 and 8, and goodness me, robust bumping and banging through the exit of Steegrave this time around, with some good headlight use from Whack there for good measure. Everyone getting a bit feisty now. Race 3 starting to percolate.
Yeah, I don't quite know. I think to me, like Whack didn't know that when Ben Willis was there and kind of just went across the track. But luckily, all held together. We've now got a stream of cars. As I said, everyone checked up, and that's a very sideways Hyundai that's going to struggle to get through Church of any kind of sort of speed, and likely losing a place or two on the run up to the final chicane.
Yeah. So I think we've got a replay that's been saved up. Let's bring it in while our drivers run up towards Club.
So we've got on Tom Stevens here, so he's got a nice view of what's going on. So you've got Herlock, as I said, looking for the outside line, got to get to the inside later on. So he's just about holding it, a little bit too wide, and then just goes on an adventure and just can't get the car slowed down. And Stevens just quite a bit hard tap there, but I'm guessing when you've committed to that line, it's quite hard to just lift off the brakes and get lift off oversteer. So luckily, is still going. Now a second gap to Callum Cripps, and but still fight. Lives to tell tale.
Where really Stevens could go there. I think you just kind of have to live with the fact that there is unfortunately something going on ahead. And as we saw, actually, I think it was in the first race, you just follow that car ahead of you off the road onto the grass, and you're a complete passenger.
Yeah. So it's just they've looked for the outside line here, and just kind of. They're not exactly been run out of road, but they just understeer because it's a fast left-hander here, and they just can't get that car to grip a little bit of grass, and then suddenly you need to start thinking about braking for this long right-hander and just can't get the car slowed down, and off they go really, and they are still going. So last I looked, you've got Wilson is down in 18th, and Herlock has just moved up to 14th. So they're going to recover a few positions here because there's a few cars ahead of them that are all kind of close together. So a bit of damage control, damage limitation going on from Herlock.
Yes, and good for Stevens, who's able to just kind of focus on what he needs to do. He's obviously in the contention as well. Herlock has a lot of work to do here, but he certainly has the pace to do it. He's already caught the fight here for P12, 11 and 10, and he's trying to make his way past here Emil Salberg. Emil taking a lot of curb there through Cobb, and he's definitely going to be compromised on the exit. And here comes Herlock. Is he going to use some boost to try and complete this one? No, I think he's just going to use the natural momentum his BMW has. He's trying around the outside again. He's going to keep it on the road this time. Put his car there. No, 2 cars into one. Don't go. But this time no grass was needed. That was just a bit clumsy.
There's definitely some grass needed there now, mate. That's I don't know who that was. That looks like a few cars, Salberg, and I think that's Jordan Hyde kind of exiting stage right.
Battle for the lead now. Tom Stevens has caught up to Callum Cripps. Cripps, unfortunately, I think going to run foul of the anti-cut there and going to have to give up some time. Stevens now to the point. Not quite sure what happened there. Cripps had a little bit of a gap, a little bit of margin of a second or so, perhaps a mistake somewhere. But Cripps now down to third. Kell and Stevens resume their duel from earlier on.
This is the Jordan Hyde and Salberg going on. So Herlock's taking the outside line. Held on, definitely there. And then I think it's just going to be, Hyde's gone for a gap that's sadly only going to close. And it's that secondary hit from the other Hyundai that sends them stage right. And that was a gap that a bit too optimistic, I think.
Yes, not a high percentage move, let's say. Easy to say, though, of course, commentary in the heat of the moment with just a few seconds or tenths of a second to make a decision. Much more difficult, of course. So it's in the past now. Drivers recovering, moving on. Here comes a replay for the pass for the lead. It looks like actually Stevens was with Cripps, so no mistake, just some excellent pace from the King's car. Yeah,
probably good exit out of Church, maybe a little bit of boost up the hill, and then importantly the inside line. Bit of contact first thing there, and then obviously a bit of contact there. And then probably a bit more contact there, but Stevens then got the inside line and it pushes Cripps wide, and that's why you see Stevens in first and Dan Kell in second.
Yes, Kell just kind of waiting, letting that one pan out, as it were. He could see what was going to happen, just focused on what he needed to do and to get momentum at the right point. And now it is Kell versus Stevens. We've had this in race 1 and race 2 tonight, and now we're getting it again in race 3. We'll have to see if Kell can make his way past Stevens now that he's right with him with 7 laps to work with.
Yep. Sorry, I just kind of lost my train of thought. I was just seeing where Herlock's up to 12th and is watching this battle of Williams and Martha. So I think Herlock's going to recover here over top 10.
Which would be quite a good recovery, all things considered, given the scale of that moment. So he's still got some work to do. Still has to finish, of course, as well. But you've got drivers here who are fighting for 4 positions. They've rightly hold on to at the moment. You've got Martha Allington really scrapping here with Matthew Williams over 10th and 11th. Ben Willis just ahead. Herlock will have to bide his time and make his moves at the right points to make more progress.
Yeah, we've got a proper train going on here at the moment, isn't it? Definitely, as Herlock doesn't dare make another mistake to lose a load of places, but the train at the front, Kell now 3 tenths behind Stevens, and Mitchell only 6 tenths behind Kell as well. So 2x2 here, as Martha's going to have to go for the outside through the left hand to get the inside of the first bit, and I think that's Herlock behind going 2x2. So Williams has probably got Herlock on the inside. Yep, gets their way through. So that's Herlock up to 11th and fancy some more.
Yeah, and more contact. Coming! Oh no, and it's taken Herlock as well. Martha had a heck of an exit out of the club chicane. It was able to put Willis under pressure, and just like that, contact, and more contact. Herlock's work all undone.
Yes, I think that was kind of Ben pushed to the outside with the left-hander, as they kind of had a very shallow line of the right-hander and kind of had nowhere to go. And then it kind of just domino affected, and Herlock was trying to be optimistic. We get a look here, so kind of force, got a kind of shallow line here, little tap that's pushes Ben even wider, and then it's a shallow line, but Ben's been put in that position. Luckily, that the back end of the car didn't get hit by that little calamity there. Yeah, I'm going to lead that one for the stewards, but there was multiple taps there that obviously just escalated until sadly Herlock got stuck in the middle of it all.
Indeed. So more drama for Herlock to deal with, and well, I guess more music to the ears of Tom Stevens. He holds the lead. He's still got a rear view mirror full of Calamity Ford Focus to work with, but his championship rival is not doing well.
No, just don't know why. Because usually it's a case of lot kind of struggles in race one a little bit because they have only one lap of boost, and then just works their way up with that boost in the evening. But whatever reason, just struggling. And yeah, it's a good shout out actually. Alan Smith up to 6th place at the moment, holding on well so far. It would be a great result for them.
Absolutely. So yeah, just keeping your nose clean, focusing on what you need to do, and get yourself around the circuit as quick as possible, which is what Alan is doing, and he's got a whole bunch of progress forward up to 6th place, just 5 seconds off this leading scrap. And who knows, if these guys start to really go hammer and tongs, he could be in with this train, in with this group before he even knows it.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out again. Is this a case of Mitchell, Stevens holding up Kell for Mitchell, or is it just the pace that all three of them have got, and that Stevens is just naturally just a little bit slow at the moment? Wyatt in 4th is definitely going to get involved in this action very soon.
Yeah, I'd suggest that it's going to be boost is going to be a factor here. Our leading group here they don't have much to work with. I think Stevens has 1, Kell 2, Mitchell 3. That is the order they finished in the second race. None of them really using that boost, but you've got Wyatt, Cripps, Smith et al. With full complements of boost. So you're perhaps seeing that boost being used to, keep these leaders in contention. And if they scrap, they will all come together very quickly.
They will indeed. That's definitely not what Kell wants. He wants a good exit here from Church because they're right on the backside and a little bit of slipstream. This is going to be a good battle. They're going to be forced to take the long outside line. A little bit of side drafting, I'm sure. Are they going to try and go for it around the outside? I'm thinking that they fancy it.
They're fancying it. It's hard work to pass around the outside here. Can he stay alongside? Yes, he can. He's therefore got the right to try and take the line and stayed with Stevens on the exit, but they've both compromised each other, and here comes Mitchell. Can we get some formation flying from the King's cars? Not quite. Kell goes around the outside of Allard. Bold move, and here comes Wire. It's now 4, and oh no, they've all come together. Wire up to the lead, tries to defend the inside, which he does, but the top 3 focusing on each other, fighting each other, and Wire walks by them.
Yeah, that was I didn't just work out which Kings it was, but that was one trying to make it 3 wide, which was a closing gap. So yeah, that was a bit silly. I think that other Kings could have just held back a little bit, let it play out, and in that case, they've actually kind of lost the lead and then some.
Lost the lead and then some indeed. Again, attack becomes defense, and if not worse, in just a few moments flat. And again, Wire opportunistic moment, right place, right time, was able to make his way forward. So now we've got our leading trio from the last race with less boost, with a car ahead with more boost than them to work with. This is going to be interesting to see how it pans out. With all of that contact, with all of that action, they also have the likes of Cripps, Smith and Wack now right on their tails. So any more conflict between them, they're going to be in trouble.
So this is an on-board from Luke Mitchell. So we see 2x2 of the Ford going very sideways, and looks like it's trying to push the through, and then looks for a gap there when obviously that yellow car was always going to go left. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what they were thinking. They're very lucky not to accidentally take out their own teammate and live to fight another day.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't drive through cars. That would make the sport a bit interesting. But yes, unfortunately, you do have to just take the loss sometimes. You might have had the run, but there's no way to use it, so just to lift off. So 3 into 1 do not go, and it has cost all 3 of them.
Yeah, and like I said, Cedo, right place, right time. He has got a couple more laps of boost to use. They're using it on this one. I'm guessing they won't use it on the last lap, or maybe they'll not use it on the next lap. And it's now theirs to lose. And Kell still wants to have a word about that. He's very good at getting a good exit here through Church and obviously making use of the slipstream. Meanwhile, Alan Smith is going lawn cutting. And somehow, are they going to hold on to 6th? They're going to lose it to Thomas Owak. They are going to lose it and down to 7th. Sounds a bit of commentator's curse there from earlier. But still going, and they still got a nice 2.5 gap to Fraser Hart in 8th.
Still going, still an excellent result for the Craven Racing team there on the potential offing. And as the leading trio now, Concertina, Wire on the boost, Kell not. That Calamity Ford Focus has been dominant this evening. Just it has had a little bit above and beyond everyone else in the way it can carry speed, and Dan Kell using it to very good effect to keep up. All the drivers now on the boost as they exit Seagrave for the 15th time of asking. Through Noble they go. Critical corner to set up this long, tight right-hander at Goodwood. As we now see Daniel Hurlock, after his adventures, back up to 15th and sideways, getting his way past Ben Willis.
Oh, Ben's going a little bit adventure. Hopefully he can hold it all together, bring it back in. Hurlock, importantly, also gives them 2 points because they've also got the fastest lap.
Very good point. Very good point. So as our leaders exit church, we've got a yellow flag now in sector 2. Wire still holds on to the lead, 0.4 of a second, the gap between himself and Dan Kell. Just a few more laps for Wire to manage to bring home another race result, another win. It is, in fact, the final lap of the race. Where did that time go? Wire leads 0.2 of a second, the gap boost being used. Can Dan Kell make a move with just a few more overtaking opportunities to go?
It's going to be a hard one, I think, but definitely line them up. But yeah, with Stevens right on the backside as well, you risk doing the same thing again. Attack, fail, and then lose a place because of it. And Cedo has, they're all, like I said, using their last lap worth of boost. Cripps doesn't have any, but he's got a 0.8 gap to the car behind in Whack, who is using their boost. So it'll be worth keeping an eye on that one before the end. But definitely keeping an eye here on the last lap as that Ford goes very sideways. And it's whether they can keep the speed through Church. We've got picture in picture there with Cripps and Whack.
So that Calamity car looking loose, looking fast, carrying speed, dancing through these apexes. But is it enough speed to close the gap and get an overtake done? I think it's going to be hard work. It's going to be something very special on the brakes. Wire is out of boost. Kell has a little bit still left. 0.1 of a second the gap on the brakes. Can Kell make something happen? No, I don't think he can. He's falling in line. He's going to focus on the exit. Can there be a drag race here to the line? Looks like Cedo Wire is going to win race 3 this evening from Dan Kell. Tom Stevens was in third but is now dropping down the order. Did he have a penalty? Luke Mitchell is showing in third, Callum Cripps in fourth, Thomas Whack in fifth, and Alan Smith has come across the line in sixth. So we'll run through the full finishing order, but a late drama there as, oh dear, it looks like Ben Willis is exploring the track limits.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where he's going. Looks like he went very sideways at Church there, sadly out the points. But yeah, great shout out Alan Smith, 6th place as well. That's worth a shout. And Thomas Whack as well, they're top 5. That was some good fun racing to watch. As yeah, looks like Tom Stevens after all that finished down 14th. I'll have to see if that was a penalty or something.
We'll have to confirm or go through the finishing order as we have it in just a moment's time once Ben finishes. Ben, a keen flight simmer, I think, trying to explore the Thruxton runway perhaps as a part of the final race there. But there we go. Race 3 in the books. Race 3 action-packed as race 3s do tend to be. And my word, another fine example of attack becoming defense and the right place, the right time, just putting yourself in contention. Cedo Wire comes home with another race win this season. So P1 for Cedo and Brabham Motorsport. Dan Kell rounding out a very strong evening for himself and Calamity in P2 with Tom Stevens, the Kings in P3. Luke Mitchell is also showing in P3. I think this is where we've got some fun with our finishing positions. But I think we've got Callum Cripps, who finished in 4th, Thomas Whack in 5th, with Alan Smith in 6th. Fraser Hart came home in 7th place with Martha Allington 8th, and Harley London in 9th.
You then have Callum Wilson in 10th with Matthew Williams in 11th. Zachary Evans in 13th with Emil Sauberg in 14th. It looks like then we have Stevens in 15th. There's too many 15s here, now 16s. Jordan Hyde, Jack Boney, Ben Willis, and Scott Mitchell-Mann was our only DNF in that race in 19th. And breathe. So
Thruxton always throws up a curveball, always a unique challenge for our drivers, and I think we've seen our fair share of action tonight, Phil.
Yeah, it was some, like I said, lots of sideways action, and then yeah, you don't have a small crash here. You only have a big one. So yeah, unlucky for a few drivers there, but some great results as well for others. Right,
and well, as mentioned, we're halfway through our season now. We are 5 rounds down. We've got 4 to go. You don't have to wait long for our next round. We're only a week away from Knock Hill, our visit to Scotland, and the short, sharp, undulating roller coaster, which is the Knock Hill circuit. So join us hopefully in just 7 days' time next Wednesday for round 6. We've got 3 more rounds in September: Donington, Croft and Silverstone, and we will conclude our championship in October at Brands Hatch Grand Prix. So would love to see you join the broadcast. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. Thank you to folks in YouTube chat. Sorry I didn't get a chance to kind of respond to your messages, but appreciate you being here and supporting your favorite drivers. If you are interested in finding out more about TCUK and VMO, feel free to head on over to our website, vmo-simracing.co.uk, to find out more about the league, the championship, the Discord server, and who knows, you may find yourself on the grid for the next TCUK championship. Phil, your final thoughts tonight.
I love sim racing, that we can go from like the most southern racetrack to the most northern racetrack in the space of a week. As we've alluded to, it's going to be very interesting, different weather. I doubt there's going to be a heat wave in Knock Hill next week, but prove me wrong, Mother Nature. Yeah, some great racing, and roll on again. It's quite interesting doing it back to back. Roll on again next Wednesday.
Yeah, bit less preparation time potentially, a bit less time to kind of get yourself in the zone for a very different circuit, a very different challenge to Thruxton. We will have to see how everyone deals with it. So, like I say, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We hope you've enjoyed the broadcast and the racing. Thank you to all of our drivers, our cameraman extraordinaire, Tom, and all of the race direction and admin staff at VMO. We look forward to seeing you in 1 week's time at Knock Hill.